r/AskReddit. 60y/O and older. What is your biggest should have done that differently in life? What's the better way? Pay yourself first no matter what. Don't do anything too much. Smoking, drinking, games, porn, anything in excess will hold you back. Learn to honestly deal with your emotions. I've got everything in moderation, including moderation as a motto to live by. If in moderation means about 50%, and then we make a moderation moderate, this gives us 75% of everything. Haha. Everyone who has known me has heard me say this, and at least I can't see it that way. It's like, be moderate in things. Don't drink too much. Don't masturbate too much. Don't sleep too much. Don't talk too much. Don't listen too much. etc etc. But also don't always be moderate. Sometimes get fucked up and sleep the whole next day. Sometimes blow off that responsibility and do something spontaneous etc etc. Don't always be moderate, or you'll lose some kind of sense of adventure, of new experience, of feeling out the edges of human experience, changing your perspective, etc. I should have made better marriage choices. Don't marry too young, or if you do, just be really sure that you have the same values and same goals. If one of you doesn't want kids, for instance, that should be a deal breaker. If one doesn't like sex or intimacy, huge deal breaker. If he/she is a jerk to your friends and family, get out of that relationship. If he/she is never wrong, or will never admit it, get out. And stay out of credit card debt. Prenup. I've ridden that rodeo 3 times. They all left with fabulous parting gifts. Spoiler alert. I'm a woman. Don't think it just happens to men. Ladies, I'm really glad to have read your comment. When I was younger I used to think prenups equals not believing the marriage would last. Then, I got married at 19 and divorced at 20 from someone I never ever thought I'd split with. Looking back, it was a dumb marriage. But now I'm 23 and I make $85,000 a year. Technology. I hope in 10 to 20 years to move my way into management and make double or triple this. I live in Washington and I want a house, and you may have heard that houses are expensive as hell up here. My ex is 24, and while he does what he loves, and I know he barely gets by, and has no intention of working a side job to help him get more financially ahead. If we had divorced at 30 I would've been a little fucked. Anyway, I decided going forward I want a prenup. That divorce was easy, because we both went our own way with our things. If I ever get divorced again, which I now understand is a real thing that happens, and sometimes you can't avoid it, I would like it to be painless as possible, at least in finances. If I ever get married again, I also love the idea of being the cool aunt that travels the world. Who knows? Many people view kindness as weakness. Took me a long time to realize its strength. Be kind whenever possible, and it's always possible. Dalai Lama. I will try to be kind to people no matter what. However, it's Femi Northeast or Beograms SC. I don't care. Being kind is one of the hardest things to do, yet it is very rewarding to see people brood in anger while I'm smiling across the meadow. I wish it would stop being seen as weak to be kind. People who say being kind is feminine are the peak of toxic masculinity and probably have more issues than I could even begin to describe. Insult probably, if we are being honest. Being a good man simply means being a good person. How can people not understand this? I wish I'd gone to the emergency room that day in 1991 when I had terrible stomach pain. I was a single working mom and didn't have health insurance, and I was afraid of the bill. I've suffered and nearly died a few times because of that bad choice. Worse, my children suffered and still do because of it. If you're willing to share what happened, I had an infected gallbladder that ruptured. I felt so much better for about 20 minutes. Then I got peritonitis. I had to have it removed, of course, and then have my abdominal cavity irrigated. I was in the hospital in ICU on all the antibiotics about 5 to 6 weeks. I had a few surgeries. There was a lot of damage, and now I get excruciating near fatal mesenteric artery ischemic gut bleeds every year or so. I just got out of the hospital from one I had in June. If I'd gone when it first hurt and not stressed about the hospital bill. Take care of your health, please. It took me a long time to realize that most people only do and say all the things they say and do to benefit themselves and their family. I'm seeing it, but as a teen relying on others to show me the ways of the world, it's hard not to take what everyone says at face value. Too many lies, too much conflicting information. I know to do research on what I'm told before trusting it, though, so there's that. As someone in their 30s, I can only say the reason you're getting so many conflicting opinions asterisk is because success means different things to different people. The best advice I got was people will give the advice that justifies their own decisions. Very few people want to live with regret, so even the ones that do have regrets will choose peace and happiness by eventually justifying their actions over wallowing over the past. My solution was to find people who seemed to have the jobs, lives and relationships that I wanted. Often this was 3 or 4 different people, and asking them how they got there. Asterisk I say opinions, because some people will state their opinion as fact and vice versa. Always follow up facts. Always try to clarify opinions. 67 here. I've become a contrarian in many regards. Do the opposite of what the crowd does, and in many cases, not all, it works out. Also, take care of your effing ears. I loved loud music, and pumped it into my ears through headphones for decades. Now I've got tinnitus. It's not awful, but I'm never going to experience pure silence again. 66 here. Ears and teeth. Hearing aids and dental work are both expensive and neither is as good as taking care of the real stuff. I also spent enough to buy a house on cigarettes and alcohol. Finally, marry a woman with small hands, it'll make your dick look bigger. I'm not 60, but my dad will turn 71 in September. Back in 2008 when I graduated, my dad says, "Son, it's never too early to invest your money." I didn't back in 2008 because, well, the market crashed. I regret that a lot. The Dow Jones has tripled in value since 2009. The same can be said about the COVID-19 pandemic. In 10 years time the market will triple its value back in March. Take advantage of that. Yeah, that's the main reason I'm investing right now. I don't want to look back in 10 years and think, man, those stocks were so low during COVID, I should've invested. I picked some stocks and will just set it and forget about it, lol. Do not go to a competitive college right out of high school. Get your prereqs done at a community college. Trust me. Edit. Oh wow, my first gold. Thanks friend. This is the best advice I ever got. I'm on my 2nd year of community college and my school has a direct transfer agreement with the best public university in my area. Plenty of my high school friends went straight to that university and are now paying, per quarter, what I'm paying for an entire year, and we are getting pretty similar educations out of it. I did something similar. 2 years of community college, electrical engineering tech, with intentions of moving over to university when done. I wanted to be an electrical engineer eventually. They had a similar thing, where most credits would transfer over. Instead I realized I was more interested in finishing school as a tradesman in a similar field. I ended up as an instrumentation journeyman. I can't even imagine the money and time I would have wasted at university just to realize I didn't want to be an engineer. My 74-year-old mom answered. When I was in grad school, a teaching position in photography opened up, and I didn't take it. I thought, gee, I wonder what would have happened. I don't know what it is. I had opportunities here. I just didn't take that one. Out of all of the opportunities, that was one that was staying in my area, and that one seemed far away. I should have looked at the opportunity differently and researched it out. Tell your mom this. We often think of these choices, these alternate universes, as a bizarre wow, what if I did it? I might have more money or a better family, or some other thing, but we never say things like, holy shit, if I took that I could have been brutally murdered, or killed in an accident, or got into drugs and homeless, or any number of awful things. Our minds tend to stick to what we don't have, or could have, instead of what we do have. I know it's a little extreme, especially since what she's saying is more of a gentle what if instead of I ruined my life by not taking that job, but I think it's important to be not too regretful in life, and I hope this helps someone else. I'm friggin' 60 dammit. Let me tell you, yup, I would have made a better attempt at being patient with my goals. I was all over the place with jobs. Actor, carpenter, cabinet maker, musician, teacher I still use my skills, but I wish I stuck out my carpenter apprenticeship when I was younger. I enjoyed the variety, probably a bit odd. However, if I got more experience and learned more when I was younger, I would have done better. I did score a career in the telephone biz for 22 years or so. Good to have benefits and a pension. Can't say enough about this right here. I also went the adventure route out of high school and I wouldn't change a minute of it. I witnessed and partook of some of the grandest undertakings one could imagine that I can't do now. All over New England, Rocky Mountains, Southwest, Europe. Construction, bartending, commercial fishing, more construction, ski patrol, logging. Not only did I apply what I learned then to later in life, but I have all those great memories too. Not to mention, beautiful women, good dogs, great trucks, fine whiskey, cool guns and big fish. Yeah baby. I'd have worked less when the kids were little. I routinely worked 55 hours a week, and no, we didn't get overtime. I've had a very successful career, but you can't buy that time back with money. I was always trying to prove myself to my dad, and took until mid-30s to realize this was my life. I've always worked more than I should, but when the kids were little I should have had different priorities. Wish my dad had have said, son, slow down and enjoy the ride. I've told my kids only push that hard for you. Don't do it for anyone else, and I'll love them no matter what. So far they are all doing well, but man are workaholics. Very grateful that stopped with me and I didn't pass it down. Also, the best way to love your kids is to love your spouse. My son is 7 and I have twins that are almost 2. I worked as a delivery driver when my son was younger, so I was out of the house 14 hours a day 5 days a week and exhausted on the weekends. I feel like I missed a big part of his younger years and it makes me sad. Thankfully I'm now working from home and getting to see my kids grow and learn in front of me is amazing. I sat on the couch this evening with my son and asked him how he liked having me home so much, and he said it was awesome, but he would be sad when I had to go back out to drive. It made me very happy to tell him I'd be working from home as long as I had my current job.